Hello and welcome to another episode of Other Items of Interest. I'm your host, Jack Zablocki. On this week's episode is pretty average, but we do have robotic strippers. That's right, robotic strippers. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to another episode of Other Items of Interest. I'm your host, Jack Zablocki, and today we have a perfectly average show. All the stories are pretty average. Maybe a couple of boring ones. I have to fill out time, But that's what we got going today. Hope it's enjoyable. I hope you like it. I try my best. What I did want to do right at the beginning of the show, sometimes when I'm looking for news, I often find articles with good headlines, but there's not much more to the story. The whole story is in the headline. So I got 3 of those for this week, and I thought I'd read them at the beginning. They're amusing, if anything. First one we have here is Pope gets stuck in Vatican elevator. Firefighters rescue him. There's a picture of the Pope on the page, of course, not in the elevator. But he was stuck in an elevator for 25 minutes. And he had to be rescued by firefighters. And that's pretty much the whole story. Where's your God now, old man? No, I'm joking. Anybody can get caught in an elevator. Do you think the Pope gets a little? Think he freaks out a little bit, gets claustrophobic? Oh me, oh my, what do I do? I don't know. He sounds like Mario from the Super Mario games, I guess. Does he get impatient? What's taking those firefighters so long? I'm not going to do that offensive voice for everything the Pope says. That was that story. Pope gets stuck in Vatican elevator. The next one we have is, we've all read or heard the story before. It seems to happen a lot for whatever reason. Harry Potter books removed from St. Edward Catholic School due to curses and spells. And I think they advised an exorcist who said they were real curses and spells. So that's a little stupidity right there. It always seems like it's an ongoing thing with some schools and obviously Catholic schools wanting to ban Harry Potter because it's demonic. I don't know. I don't get it. It's clearly curses and spells for the outcome of good for the most part. I mean, they learn their lessons. So maybe you should teach it. Maybe. Could be. I don't know. And the third headline I took a liking to was Beware of Rolling Mountain Poop Balls from the National Park Service. I guess I have to warn hikers about dung beetles, and I think they're called tumble bugs. If you don't know what a dung beetle is, they lay their egg, and then they roll it up in a big ball of poop. I guess they're knocking it off mountain ledges onto trails. Wasn't that interesting of an article, but a good headline. So that's what we got. Those 3 little headlines. Beware of rolling mountain poop balls. I've noticed a lot of poop stories in the news lately. I think we do one poop story per episode almost. I know it's not every episode, but quite often we got a story on poop. I think we have one coming up later in the show, as a matter of fact. Anyway, let's get all this out of the way. You can visit us online at www.otheritemsofinterest.com. You can email us at otheritemsofinterestpod@gmail.com. You can see us on Instagram at otheritemspod and visit us on Twitter at otheritem. I'm feeling kind of slow today. I had a hell of a time setting up to record for the show. Every time I sat down ready to do it, I found that I was not ready to do it, and I had to get up and do whatever needed to be done, whether that be fix the mic or take a piss or get some water or do some vocal exercises, stretch out my jaw. So I'm out of sorts a little bit. I'm groggy. Don't know why I'm groggy. I shouldn't be. And now I'm rambling. So, with that, let's get on with the show, shall we? We shall. Okay, here we go. This is a Welsh story, so there's going to be some words in here I can't say for the life of me. Welsh is not easy. From UPI.com, man fined for driving with car strapped to top of car. That's right, he brought his car in on top of his car. A Welsh driver was ordered to pay a fine after he was caught on video transporting a disabled car by balancing it on the roof of another car. And here we go with a Welsh name. Glyndwr Wyn Richards. The Richards part is easy. It's the Glyndwr, and Wyn that's fairly, I can read that simply. But Glyndwr, it's an interesting name. Getting way off topic. It's going to be one of those shows, isn't it? Glyndwr Wyn Richards, 51, pleaded guilty in Aberystwyth Magistrates Court to using a vehicle with a load likely to cause danger of injury after he was caught on video driving his Volkswagen Passat with a Skoda Octavia strapped to its roof. Doesn't seem that safe, no. Richards has been driving through an industrial estate in Aberystwyth, Wales, and he told the court he transported the car less than 1,000 feet. He admitted the stunt was a stupid thing to do. Richard was given 3 penalty points on his driver's license and ordered to pay a $97 fine and $140 in court costs. How about that? Seems like he got off pretty easily. It doesn't look poorly strapped. You can watch, there's a video on the website. If you go to the show notes, you can check it out at www.otheritemsofinterest.com. It's not the most interesting video, I'll tell you that, but it is a fine visual. I feel like we have a lot of articles from the UK this week. I guess we'll really figure that out as we get on with the show, but this one is from Lincolnshire, but it comes from cambridgenews.co.uk. Cambridgeshire Live. Builder hired to fix roof takes poo on it instead. There's our poop story. And right up top we have the photo that was making the rounds on social media of the roofer taking a crap on another gentleman's roof. A homeowner was shocked to find a builder he had hired to fix a leak had defecated on his roof. I would be shocked too if anybody defecated on my roof. The 38-year-old dad from Skegness said he thought he examined the company thoroughly before he hired them to stop the loft leak. But after inspecting the work, said he was horrified to find one member of the firm's staff had left a large pile of feces behind, which he claimed had even been put down his chimney. The grinning culprit had his photograph taken during the dirty deed before sharing it with friends. The homeowner, who wanted to remain anonymous, told our colleagues at Lincolnshire Live, "I needed a leak in my loft fixing. I saw an advert in the local brochure. I did my checks. It appeared to be okay, so I asked them to do the work. I went up on the scaffolding and noticed the feces." See, I don't think a lot of people who have their roof done go up to check the work. And with this company, they're not going up to check the work and not seeing the feces left behind. Just my guess. I was a bit disgusted. I had said to them I would provide toilet facilities in the house and they could use the kitchen when they started the work. Well, the kitchen seems like a weird place to go to the bathroom. They'd even shoved some down my chimney stack. It's dreadful behavior. The 30-year-old was then stunned to find pictures circulating showing one of the builders grinning at the camera in a photo while doing the act. "Skegness is a very small area," he said. He sent the photos to someone and they found their way to me. I asked the director of the company about it and showed him the photos, and I felt he got very aggressive. That's an odd response from him. What kind of customer service is that? A customer comes to you, tells you one of your workers has been pooping on your roof, and you get pissy? Bad form. After refusing to pay, the homeowner was then forced to hire another company to finish the job and double-check everything had been done correctly. I had to get another company to finish the job because I wasn't certain they'd done a good job, he said. Lincolnshire Live contacted the building firm for a response. And that's it. Sounds like they didn't get a response. Workers scream as mouse launches itself into deep fryer at Texas Whataburger. From HuffPost.com. We did another story on a Whataburger a couple weeks ago. I think back in July, maybe. A superintendent of one school was at a Whataburger after midnight and allegedly had been drinking. And another superintendent from another school showed up, and they got into a fist fight and a headbutt fight. Anyway, that was at a Whataburger. Figured the two related. I'd relay the story to you guys. A mouse appears to dive headfirst into a deep fryer at a Whataburger restaurant in Bastrop, Texas, in a scene caught on video by a customer and posted online. Brushawn Lewis published the footage to Facebook early on Sunday. It shows restaurant staff trying to catch the mouse as it scampers across the counter before it launches itself right into the fryer, to the immense shock of staff and onlookers. Everybody was watching. I wonder if that scars people. Do you think anybody's going to post a lawsuit against Whataburger for being scarred? I can imagine. Who else needs a refund? One person can be heard asking. The post hit 1.4 million views in less than 24 hours and was shared more than 50,000 times. Whataburger issued a statement in the comments of the post that read in part, "We closed the restaurant out of an abundance of caution and notified pest control. The entire restaurant has since been cleaned and sanitized." The company said the restaurant in question had no history of this type of incident. Oh no, you don't get a lot of mice committing suicide by fryer? Figure that happened a lot. I guess not. The Statesman reported the Bastrop Whataburger location reopened Sunday morning, and you can watch a video below, which I believe is the Facebook video because for me it says video unavailable, and I have some kind of Facebook blocker on my extensions here, so I don't see any of that. I didn't get to watch the video on this one. I'm not going to tell you to go to the show notes. I mean, it's a mouse jumping into a fryer. I can understand. It's kind of cool, but it's kind of gross. Do what you want. You have to go to Facebook, though. I know some of you are against that. From NBCnews.com, Miami orders scooters removed from streets before Hurricane Dorian turns them into flying projectiles. Scary stuff. I don't know if you live in a city that has those, any kind of scooter service. I don't know how you feel about them, but in a city that gets hurricanes, you don't want those things out on the street all over the city. Because the wind's going to pick them up at 140 miles per hour and just toss them in whatever direction. The city of Miami has notified a number of companies that they must remove their fleets of electric scooters from the streets in preparation for Hurricane Dorian, lest the devices become flying projectiles. You could kill somebody with one of those things. Officials told the 6 companies that operate fleets in the city, Bird, Bolt, Uber's Jump, Lime, Lyft, and Spin, to clear out their scooters by noon on Friday. The order is meant to prevent any potential hazards that could arise from the scooters being left out during the storm, including fears that the vehicles could be swept up in the storm's dangerous winds. A number of scooter companies said they've also removed or reduced their fleets in Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, and Orlando, which are also expected to be in the path of the storm. That's pretty much the gist of the article, because after this, it's just, they talk about the Hurricane Dorian for a bit. Currently a Category 2 storm, forecast to become Category 4 storm. We talk a little bit about hurricane power. I said 140 miles per hour. This one says 130 miles per hour. And then the rest of it is spokespeople from the different scooter companies giving quotes. And it's really boring. For instance, a Lime spokesperson said the company is pulling its scooters in Orlando, Miami, and Fort Lauderdale. Next up, Lyft spokesman Caitlin Carl said the company has paused all scooter operations in Miami. And then, you get one from Uber and Bird and Bolt. They've all removed their scooters or are in the process of removing their scooters. So that's the gist of the article, and I don't feel like reading the whole goddamn thing. Remember when I said I was groggy in the intro monologue? It's really starting to hit me now. I might be getting sick as the show goes on. This will be new and different. This might be exciting. I don't think I'm going to throw up or anything, but let's see how it goes. That's the end of this story. I don't want to read statements from scooter spokespeople. This one comes from abc13.com. Using electric shock on students is now illegal in Texas. At one point we could shock the students. Now, illegal. More than 800 new laws went into effect September 1st in Texas, but some of them left people scratching their heads. House Bill 234 keeps neighborhoods and cities from being able to shut down children's lemonade stands that are set up on private property. That's a good one. I always hate those stories. There's always one or two every summer about cops being called out to a child's lemonade stand, see if they have a business license or whatever, and then they get shut down. That's bullshit. That's the definition of bullshit. Sending nude photos or videos to someone who did not clearly express that they wanted them is now a Class C misdemeanor. Violators of House Bill 2789 can be fined up to $500. Wow. I mean, is that dick pic really worth $500, dude? Probably not. And here's a quote from somebody I don't know, and they don't explain who she is, but here we go. I'm sure there are people out there that don't understand that people don't want to look at their body parts, Kara Fong said. No explanation as to who Kara Fong is. During the legislative session earlier this year, lawmakers voted to approve a House Bill 3630 that prohibits schools from using aversive techniques on students. It specifically says that using electric shock, releasing unpleasant mist in a student's face, I wonder if they mean like mace, immobilizing their extremities or depriving them of sleep, air, food, or water is not allowed. Finally, someone's thinking of the children. The law took effect in June, but applied to the 2019-2020 school year. It makes me wonder if someone has done it or not, in which case someone needs to work in a new field, Kara Fong said. No idea. Other laws that went into effect are getting the thumbs up from Texans. Starting Sunday, people who are certified in CPR but do not need the certification for their job or occupational license can get their driver's license or handgun license for free. How about that? That's interesting, I guess. No, I take it back. It's not that interesting. Forget it. This person, though, that sounds like a wonderful incentive for people to get certified in CPR, Philip Talon said. No idea who Philip Talon is. No idea if he's related to Kara Fong. They might not even know each other, but they're being quoted in this article. And House Bill 1992 aims to stop telemarketers. They are now banned from calling Texans using fake phone numbers. And that's it for that. Interesting law has gone into effect in Texas. I wonder if kids in Texas were being electrocuted a lot or maced. What's going on in Texas schools? They had to make that law. Somebody find me Kara Fong. Our next article is, it's Welsh also. So not only are there some words I'm not going to be able to pronounce, it's written a little strangely using phrases that I don't use at all. I'm going to have to kind of translate as I go along. So let's try it out and see what happens. From the heraldpublicist.com. Nurse used patient's vagina as ventriloquist dummy to amuse colleagues. That's probably a no-no. A nurse used a patient's vagina as a ventriloquist dummy and pretended to make it say hello in entrance of horrified colleagues, a tribunal heard. William Kennedy pulled the patient's labia aside and stated, "Hello, my name is patient A," as he examined the susceptible care resident's resident. However, Kennedy stated the socially awkward situation had been blown out of proportion and stated he had forgotten to take his remedy. He was off his meds. The nurse even blamed witnesses for... I don't want to laugh at the mentally ill if he has a mental illness. And he said he was off his remedy, which I assume is off his meds. I'd like a little bit more explanation on that. What causes you to use a patient's vagina as a ventriloquist dummy? I'd just like to know. It's none of my business. I know that. But here we are reading this article. The nurse even blamed witnesses for what had occurred at Cwmgeli Lodge Care House in Blackwood, South Wales, the Nursing and Midwifery Council heard. Kennedy was convicted of ill-treating a patient who lacked capability at Gwent Magistrates Courtroom on February 20th. There's a phrase in here, I don't know how to read it whatsoever. It says he was given a group order. Here's what it says. I'm just going to read it as it is. The affected person, the patient, who lacked capability at Gwent Magistrates Courtroom on February 20th, final 12 months, and given a group order. All right, I don't know what that's not registering to my brain and my ears. We're just going to keep moving. Listening to was advised his present employer at Royal Gwent Hospital in Newport are conscious of the conviction. The NMC agreed on various circumstances to be postponed on Kennedy over the following 18 months. He will likely be barred from finishing up intimate examinations or medical procedures and should not be the nurse in command of any shift. Kennedy should stay underneath direct supervision always when working and should report back to a line supervisor as soon as a month to debate his professionalism. Panel Chairman Philip Sayce stated, "There were concerns raised about the level of Mr. Kennedy's perception relating to his conviction when discussing the incident along with his probation officer. In addition, there was a concern about whether or not he had fully disclosed the details of his conviction when seeking employment with a previous employer." He stated the proof gave rise to actual issues about affected person security, patient security, and public safety. Kennedy was not current and never represented on the listening to. I guess the listening to is the hearing. Geez, why's that got to be so weird? I can only handle so much. Very strange written article. Huge drug bust at Gatwick turns out to be vegan cake mix, from theguardian.com. A huge drug bust at Gatwick Airport has turned out to be part of a cake. A member of staff from Pureza Vegan Pizzeria was transporting the ingredients in a suitcase when they were stopped by police. The white powder, which was divided into blue bags, was tested before officers accepted it was legal. British Transport Police said, "Officers were called to Gatwick Airport Station at 1:34 p.m. on 28th of August after a suitcase was found containing 25 bags of powder. Following a number of inquiries and tests, it was determined these bags of powder were cake ingredients for a vegan bakery. They were soon reunited with the owner, who has promised officers and staff a slice of cake in return." The restaurant, which has stores in Brighton and London, tweeted, "Thanks for going easy on us, guys. A slab of cake all around is in order when you're next in Brighton." And it's a happy ending for everybody. Nobody was killed. It wasn't a drug bust. A very tame story for a very tame episode so far. I don't know, using a patient's vagina as a ventriloquist dummy is not so tame. Let's move on. From MiamiHerald.com. Woman fell asleep in her parked car, woke to find it missing. Ain't that something? Police in New Jersey say a possible carjacker apparently removed a sleeping 80-year-old woman from her parked car before stealing the vehicle and leaving her in the driveway. Hamilton police say the woman told them she'd fallen asleep in her parked car in a driveway around 9 p.m. Wednesday, but woke to find the vehicle missing at around 4 a.m. on Thursday. What is this? Why is this old lady sleeping in her car in her driveway? And she is such a sound sleeper. She slept until 4 a.m. in the driveway. That's a little crazy. Police say the woman didn't remember what happened and had a bruise and abrasion on her face. Authorities found the empty vehicle Thursday afternoon in Trenton. Still, why is this old lady sleeping in her car in the driveway? I really don't understand. Is that something people do? I'm completely oblivious to? I really don't know. Somebody needs to look into this, like adult services or something. Yet another article from the UK. I don't know how many that makes it so far, but let's go with it. From theargus.co.uk, psychotic seagull vomits and shits on TV star's car after failed sandwich mugging. I feel like we do a lot of stories about seagulls. Birds in general on the show. Birds are kind of assholes. And here's another one. A psychotic seagull hell-bent on revenge after failing to steal a children's TV star's sandwich defecated and vomited on his car. Dave Benson Phillips was performing in Worthing when a pesky seagull swooped for star of CBBC's game show Get Your Own Backs sandwich. But Mr. Benson Phillips refused to kowtow to the flying mugger in South Square, scaring it away, perhaps with a deathly stare. The flapping terror remained close by, the star said, annoying everyone in a nearby sandpit. Then, in a shocking and brazen act of revenge, the same seagull vomited and shit on Mr. Benson Phillips' car. And that's in quotes, vomited and shit, quote unquote. Are seagulls capable of revenge? The star asked his Twitter followers. He said, when performing my music set at the Worthing Sandpit, a pesky seagull tried to steal my sandwich. I scared it away, but it remained at Sandpit, annoying everyone. When packing my stuff away, the same seagull vomited and shit on my car. Once, one Twitter user asked, are you suggesting that seagull was getting its own back? Because of the game show, we talked about that earlier. If you're worried about how to protect your seaside chips from pesky seagulls, scientists, and that's scientists without a beginning S, believe the answer lies in an old-fashioned stare-down. The would-be feathered thieves are more likely to strike when they can swoop in under the radar, avoiding the gaze of their victims, researchers say. How do you spell scientists wrong? I mean, they completely left off the S. From thesun.co.uk, Sex Machine. Pole dancing robot strippers to perform next to human dancers on stage at nightclub. And in the show notes, if you bother to check them, I'll have included another link to the story of some video from Reuters, I think it's Reuters, of these robots dancing. Robot strippers will make their debut pole dancing alongside their human counterparts in a French nightclub. Laurent Roux, owner of the strip club Café in Nantes, said punters might find the gyrating plastic and metal robots very sexy. There's a lot of pictures with this one too, so www.otheritemsofinterest.com, check the show notes. You can see pictures of the artist and his creations in various poses, if you're so inclined. However, he told Euronews that the mechanical strippers used to celebrate the venue's 5th anniversary would never replace the real thing. And given that they feature scrap material and old CCTV cameras, while teetering on high heels, that's probably no surprise. Let me tell you, from reading enough stories, there's at least one dude out there who has this fetish. I promise you that. But Rowe said that men attending the joint robot-human stripper show might find the mechanical versions very sexy, to each his own. That's essentially what I said. They were designed by British artist Giles Walker. Giles or Giles? Is there a difference? Let's call him Walker, who told the broadcaster his robots were created to play with the notion of voyeurism. He said the strippers, made out of plastic bits of female mannequins and metal vehicle parts, gave rise to the question of who has the power between the voyeur and the observed person. Rowe told news agency Reuters, for us, it's a wink, homage in a way to robotics. Acknowledging it was an unlikely sector for robots to be used in, he added, we need something human, warmth, physical contact, and this is really putting together opposites. He said the robots would not replace the club's 10 real dancers who would perform alongside the newcomers. One of the dancers at SC Club, Lexi, 23, said she didn't fear losing her job to the metal and plastic pole dancers. She said, they won't really change our sector. It's something beautiful, stripping, and robots won't change that. Well, robots don't wear clothes. According to his website, Walker has been building sculpture for about 3 decades using materials found in scrapyards while traveling around Europe. It adds that in the mid-90s, he introduced basic motors into his sculptures and his work became kinetic. Walker plays with the relationship between technology and the human being and the ever-dissolving boundary that separates man from machine. His machines often allude to the underbelly of the human obsession with increased technology, the displaced and redundant. This is pretty metal. And there's more pictures, robots dancing on poles, and that's about it. Check out the show notes for the pictures and for the video. Pretty nifty stuff. This is now my 5th time trying to record this article. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's the Russian words. Maybe it's the way it's written. And by the way, Russian words and Welsh words, I don't know what's worse. I guess Russian, because I can't get through this. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. From theguardian.com. No fly zone. And fly refers to the fly on your pants. Russian spacesuit redesign halts Lucky P ritual. Astronauts will no longer be able to urinate on bus that picks them up for launch. And that doesn't mean, how some buses have a bathroom in the back. They're not talking about using that bathroom. They piss right on the wheel. I'm not making that up. It's in the article. We'll get to it maybe eventually. Maybe never. Maybe I'm just going to trash this article. I so don't want to do this, but I'm going to try again. Russia has unveiled a new spacesuit, but the design may have to be changed to continue a decades-old tradition, making a stop to pee on the way to the launch. The Sokol M prototype suit was designed as a replacement for suits worn during launches to the International Space Station on Soyuz spacecraft. The Soyuz, in use since the 1960s, is to be phased out and replaced in the next few years with a new Russian ship called the Federation. The maker of the suits, the aerospace firm Zvezda, that's Z-V-E-Z-D-A, Zvezda, says they will be made of new materials and adaptable to different body sizes. But the new design makes it impossible to carry out one particular ritual launched by the first man in space, Yuri Gagarin, who had to relieve himself on the back wheel of the bus that was taking him to the launch pad in 1961. I don't understand why he had to piss right on the wheel of the bus. He couldn't just go in the grass? This article has me grumpy. I have me grumpy. 5th time recording it. And I've stopped the article in the middle of the article just to complain about how much I hate this. Okay. Compose yourself, Jack. Compose yourself. Get it together, Jack. Get it together. The stop has been replicated at every launch from the Baikonur, B-A-I-K-O-N-U-R, Baikonur, the launch pad, and many male cosmonauts and astronauts pee on the tire for good luck, something that would be impossible in the new suit according to its maker. Female astronauts are not obligated to participate, but some have brought vials of their urine to splash on the wheel instead. Pleasant. I'm not sure how they will be able to carry on the tradition since we haven't designed the fly, said the Zvezda director, Sergei. We got a Russian last name here. Pozdyakov? I don't know. That's as good as it's going to get. He was quoted by Russian agencies. We have the design specifications. They don't state that it's necessary to pee on the wheel. The design specifications would need to be adapted. The orange Sokol M suits have one diagonal zipper rather than the currently used white Sokol K, which has a V-shaped opening pointing to the crotch. The new suit is lighter due to the zipper, and all seams are airtight, so there is no longer a need for the internal rubberized layer known as the bladder, which is difficult to get in and out of. All members of the ISS crew have to wear the aforementioned Sokol K suit, since they must be worn on the Soyuz spacecraft that brings cosmonauts and astronauts to orbit. The suits are designed to be comfortable while reclining in the deep Soyuz chairs, but are heavy and contribute to a noticeable stoop when walking up to the rocket. Soyuz launches are full of rituals in which cosmonauts plant trees at Baikonur, get haircuts, watch the classic Soviet film White Sun of the Desert, and have an Orthodox priest sprinkle holy water on them. Of course. It's always the Russian Orthodox priest. He's blessing everything. Everything and anything that comes in his path, he's spraying. He might as well have a super soaker filled with holy water. Okay? Fine, we got done with this article. And here we go, the last story of today's show. It's a good one, I think. Don't you like shadowy government agencies doing shadowy things? This is one of those. From CNN.com, a top secret government agency is in immediate need of an underground lair. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. A U.S. government agency dedicated to the development of top secret military technologies has a pressing need, an underground lair, and they need it by close of business today. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, better known as DARPA, tweeted the appeal Wednesday. Attention city dwellers, the tweet read, we're interested in identifying university-owned or commercially managed underground urban tunnels and facilities able to host research and experimentation. Sounds like somebody's trying to get to the upside down. That's what it sounds like. What are they up to? It's short notice, they admitted. We're asking for responses by August 30th at 5 p.m. Eastern. And that was just a few days ago. Attached to it were a series of photos, a dimly lit parking garage, an underground bunker with Polish signage, and an empty subway station, and a link to the formal proposal on a government website. People were understandably suspicious. After all, these are the folks who brought us stealth weaponry, the M16 assault rifle, and military drones, as well as more everyday advances like, say, the internet, the computer mouse, and Siri. And here they are in desperate need of a massive underground space to run some experiments. We're talking ones spanning several city blocks that are free of everyday people like you and me. When one Twitter user joked, we are definitely not looking for new places to keep all the demogorgons. See, another Stranger Things reference. The monster from the Upside Down in Stranger Things. The agency quickly clarified, please, demogorgons are such a Department of Energy thing. The Department of Energy didn't respond to a CNN request for comment. Yeah, they're a little stingy, the Department of Energy. They're kind of a little stuck up. They don't goof around. They don't do Stranger Things references. DARPA, however, told CNN the tweet was nothing to worry about. DARPA issued the request for information last week seeking university-owned or commercially managed underground urban tunnels and facilities, and yesterday's social media posts were a reminder of the upcoming deadline to respond. Jared B. Adams, DARPA's chief of communications, told CNN. The tweet was meant to help find locations for DARPA's Subterranean Challenge, a competition that seeks novel approaches and breakthrough technologies that might help the U.S. military and first responders navigate tunnels, the urban underground, and cave networks. It promises more than $5 million in prizes. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory called it the Robot Olympics. You know what? A real robot Olympics. That'd be something. I know we had this battle bots. Is that even still a thing? Have I just aged myself many years? Anyway, let's get back to the article so I can get out of here. Think autonomous robots that scurry around in underground corridors looking for bad guys. There's a video on the CNN website of two men releasing a small hot air balloon type contraption into a tunnel. Doesn't say what they're doing, and I'm not going to watch the video. Complex urban underground infrastructure can present significant challenges for situational awareness in time-sensitive scenarios, such as active combat operations or disaster response. So next time you find yourself exploring an abandoned tunnel deep under a U.S. city and something scurries by, don't worry, that's an autonomous killer cave robot. Just move along quickly. Well, that's it. That's the show for today. I'm not particularly impressed. I hope you got some entertainment out of it. A lot of stories from the UK. I think at least 6. That's half the articles from the show today were from the UK. Well, let me get a sip of water. Okay, cue the music. And that's the end of the show. Thanks for spending your time with us. We much appreciate it. I'm Jack Zablocki, and this has been Other Items of Interest. Visit us online at www.otheritemsofinterest.com. Visit us on Instagram at OtherItemsPod. Visit us on Twitter at OtherItems, and we'll see you next week, folks. Bye-bye.